Seems like everyone needs to have some sort of nutritional plan, and it seems like the biggest factor in all this is, avoiding junk food, which is all the same
Mhm.
stuff we hear all the time. So potentially, if you're on a vegan diet, you may be avoiding some junk food, but there's ways of doing a vegan diet where you're not avoiding junk food.
Mhm.
There's also
Yeah.
a keto diet where you could potentially be avoiding junk food, but there's also you could be doing a keto diet and having some kind of dirty keto foods in there, things that have sugar alcohols in them and whatnot. But whatever the case is, whether you're doing carnivore, vegan, keto, paleo, it's probably still a better decision than a standard American diet. It's still
Mhm.
probably we're still probably eliminating some excess junk, maybe
Mhm.
some excess sugar, excess processed foods, and we're probably ultimately limiting some calories. Do you think calories factor into any of this at all when you start to really look at the different diets and things like that?
Yeah, one interesting thing to look at in the context of calories is how your body assimilates nutrition from plant foods versus animal foods. What people notice when they go on a keto diet or a carnivore diet versus a vegan diet, the volume of food that you need to consume versus the amount of food you expel is drastically different. So the caloric intake, when increasing your plant food consumption, it can definitely go down. And I mean, there are arguments going either way. There are people that go on a keto diet and gain weight. There are people that go on a carnivore diet and gain weight. There are people that go on a vegan diet and gain weight. One thing to note on the vegan diet is the high anti-nutrient content of these foods. Because of things like phytates, which inhibit mineral absorption, oxalates also inhibit mineral absorption. Things like lectins can cause leaky gut. What this essentially does is it causes your body not to absorb the nutrients in the food. Your body loses its ability to digest the food. So there is a concern about certain anti-nutrients in certain grains and legumes specifically on a vegan diet. I mean, this can be alleviated to some degree by fermentation. Of course, it can be made easier by choosing foods with less anti-nutrients. I mean, like carbohydrate sources like sweet potatoes and plantains and maybe fermented oatmeal would be better choices than kidney beans. That's an example of that. Uh, Caloric restriction ties into fasting as well. I mean, I think the overall reason that people consume excess calories and don't lose weight is the lack of nutrients in their diet, and that's affecting their hunger signals. But restricting calories and is definitely a way to become healthier. Even if you're eating, doesn't really matter what you eat. It's definitely an improvement. And one way to go about this is whenever you put something in your body, it's always a net loss. Doesn't matter how healthy the food is. It doesn't matter how good the food is for you. You're always doing something negative to your body because either way, you're putting stress on your digestive system. You're putting stress on your cells to eat something. So whether you put something in your body or not, it's just a matter of arguing how negative it is. A
Yeah, the
food like
act of
liver.
the act
I'm
of
sorry.
eating the act of eating itself causes inflammation. Period.
Yes, that's. I mean, that's a very loose statement, and it can be used in a negative connotation in a
Right.
weird way because obviously we need to eat food, but this is where we assess the inflammatory response to the food, whether it's just based on its inherent profile of nutrients, anti-nutrients, whether you have an allergy to it, as well as the caloric density of the food. That's, we look at the food. Is it going to give you issues? What's the nutrient density? Two things really, just inflammation, nutrients. So looking at a food like liver or salmon roe, if you tried to eat fish eggs, you wouldn't get past a quarter pound of them. That's because of the nutrient density of the food. And that's a lower caloric restriction. So, you can make arguments that if people were eating a nutrient dense diet and had proper satiation and proper appetite, that they wouldn't be over consuming calories and they wouldn't be stressing their digestive system in an artificial amount. This also ties into lean body mass and bodybuilding because when you have a higher lean body mass, your body requires more nutrition and more sustenance. So your body will crave protein macronutrients more than fat or micronutrients. So, when I used to lift weights or like you guys, even if you guys fulfill your micronutrient requirements, you guys are going to want way more protein than the average person just from that. Your body, your muscles are literally telling you, I need protein, I want to eat protein. That's not the same case with most people. But fasting is a whole, like, that's a big topic in itself with autophagy. And the main benefits of autophagy is people claim that, and it's not a claim, this is what it does. Your body essentially recycles its cells and it heals itself in autophagy. But my argument behind a nutrient dense diet is that the processes that regulate how cells are made, gene expression and cell differentiation, are directly correlative to the cell health in your body. So vitamin A and vitamin D3 in particular are the precursors to gene expression. Gene expression turns on and off certain genes. This literally tells your body what cells it needs to make, whether it's a stem cell or a red blood cell or a white blood cell. I don't want to go, I'm not a biochemist or a physiologist. I don't want to go into this too much, but one anecdote I like to make is when I had terrible cystic acne, it would take weeks for the acne to heal. And then when I had this terrible, like nickel-sized blemish on my face, that blemish would take 3, 4, 5, 6 months to go away. I did a video on my YouTube of I had a cyst, it exploded, and this is a little gross. I'm sorry, guys. So anyway, the point is I healed my skin in literally 3 days. I went from a cyst on my face to pretty much clear skin. And the way I did this was I fasted, I consumed a large amount of retinol from liver, vitamin A, and then I went in the sun for 5, 6 hours a day. So what happened was, the first day it kind of got inflamed and then it popped. And the second day it started healing. Third day it formed into a scab. And the third day, the second day it turned into a scab. And then the third day it was pretty much completely healed and the blemish was almost gone. So our body essentially is like a plant. When people are growing something, they don't blame the plant's genetics on it not growing. They blame the soil. They blame the nutrients it was given. They say it didn't get enough water. We kind of need to look at the same thing for humans because genetics are determined by environment over a period of years and years and years. That was a bit of a ramble from the original question of, do calories matter? But I think I touched on it on a few different ways.